really Blue Goose, Texas Avenue, St. Paul's Bottoms, all of that was so close together. We're talking about maybe a half-mile radius. This is not a gigantic area. There were people who lived there. There were people who worked there. There were people who went to church up and down that area. There were people who went there for entertainment reasons, to go to a bar or to go see a band play.
But that was really the center of socializing. That's where it was all happening at.
Well, this area, because I was born in this area, I was born on Allen Avenue, over by Silver Moon Barbecue, and grew up in a shotgun house all my life up until I went to college. And I had a wonderful life. I never knew that we were poor.
Well, we used to walk home from school in the summertime with no air conditioning because all the windows were up. So everybody would be cooking, so you smell all of these aromas coming out of the kitchen before you get, and everything was handmade, the cakes, the pies, the breads, all of that was handmade, But I grew up in front of the Harlem Bar. The Harlem Bar was directly in front of my house. And I could, bear to walk on that sidewalk in front of the Harlem Bar when I was that age. But I could sit on my front porch and observe what was going on. But so I know, and they would have music and bands inside and piano players.
Usually it was always at some hall to play. There were like the Paris Casino, there's the Calanthum, there was the Oddfellows Hall, there were Paris Park. It's just so many places to play. It was always a busy place. Saturday night was even more.
One of the musicians that figures most prominently into that story is that of Hugh D. Ledbetter, also known as Leadbelly. As a child, his dad would take him to Shreveport, and they would ride their wagon through what was St. Paul's Bottoms.
Anyhow, my papa would take me to Shreveport, own some bales of cotton. He'd lead me all around in Fannin Street, and that's what I like, where the people dance and play and sing and pianos.
And when he was old enough to travel on his own, he gravitated to that nightlife, that center that he saw in Ledbetter Heights.
So I went on down on Fannin Street. That's where I'd go every time I'd leave home. So I learned how to play a guitar by a piano. I'd sit by the bass side with my guitar.
It was an incredibly formative experience for him that he talked about literally for his entire life.
They had a ballroom at the Natatorium, a big ballroom at Palace Park. And so I used to go there and listen to Cooter Williams, Tiny Bradshaw, Count Basie, Jimmy Longford. There was a group called the Honey Drippers, sort of like the Beatles for us. And Major Lampkin, which is Ernest Lampkin's dad, was one of those people playing, like Fat Waller. Yes, like he was like Fat Waller because he was singing and playing piano. House parties here, that was it.
I mean, I could walk from my house on Allen Avenue, come up Peabody Street, on up to that trade school, go past the trade school, little road, and then head to the next street over. I can't think of the name of it. I turn right, go 1 block, was just phenomenal. You see the cream of the crop, but it's always a lively place. There was a Star Theater, there was a doctor's office, there's anything. There's a place called the Chinaman. You go up there and get a bread ends and some chili for a meal.
There were doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, restaurants, bars, places to go see bands play, and dance halls, as well as realty companies, a candy confectionery business. These neighborhoods served as fascinating little incubators for local music that had national reverberations. It served as a very active business and entertainment district that is now largely forgotten.
But I had a very comfortable life, comfortable in terms of needs And so the last time we were, about 2 years ago, I had my grandson from St. Louis, and they just don't believe I could have lived there. But at the time, it was a great neighborhood. It's gone down. This is Cole. This is where your mother was born, right here. He looked, dropped his head down, you know. But everything has gone down. Everything was changed. But I think it should be preserved because it was a way of life.
Well, I think it's an excellent idea, and I think that's extremely important because the art is a part of our culture, and we need to retain it.
If everything disappeared, all we'd be doing is telling stories about how cool it was back in the day. But when we can point to a building and say, this is part of that story, I think that elevates the whole conversation.
I'm going down in old blue, even if I lose. When you go to Shreveport town, you'll find blue goose and it'll carry you down. I'm going down in old blue goose, I don't care if I lose.